Episode 3, Siena and the Betrothal. The village of Goigoa sat on ground that older maps named Shulak, a place of crimes so old the details had rotted away, leaving only the stain. Now it was a neat grid of white houses with green gardens, watered by the same canals that fed the little citadel orchards. Siona had diverted the ornithopter without asking. Inmer, the fish speaker pilot, developed a nerve twitch when Siona gave the order. The twitch told Duncan more than Siona's sullen expression did. He had been brought here against his will, and Inmer knew why, and did not want to be part of it. The thopter settled on a flat stretch of grass. Duncan climbed out into heat and the heady mix of crushed greenery, animal droppings, cooking fires, village smells, honest smells. Children gathered in a pack at the end of the street, staring at the visitors. An older woman, in a long green dress, bent and whispered to one of them, and the child turned and sprinted toward the landing pad. The child was himself, a miniature Duncan, perhaps 9 years old, same dark curling hair, same way of running head forward like a bull. The boy wore a high-quality single suit of punji cotton. He pulled up short, looked Duncan up and down, and delivered his verdict without flinching. "You're not my father." Then he fled back up the street. Duncan turned to Siona. She looked ashamed, not guilty, but something closer to soiled. The plan had gone wrong inside her. "The predecessor," she said. "He had a family, a woman named Erti. That boy. You brought me here to show me this. You needed to see what he takes. You needed me to see." Duncan's voice was flat, not angry. "You needed another reason to hate him, and you used a dead man's child to make it." Siona's jaw tightened. "You still trust him. That will change. I've talked to him. You haven't. Not since you were a child. He's a sickness. He's all the Atreides who ever were. Every one of them. Those people were my friends." Duncan walked away from her into the narrow street where the boy had vanished. The houses were one-story stone, doors set back in arched frames. Curtains twitched as he passed. At the first cross street he stopped. A woman's face appeared in a window, dark-haired Atreides, hawk in the cheekbones, the face of Lady Jessica gone soft with village life, a genetic echo so precise that Duncan whispered the name before he could stop himself. "Jessica." The face withdrew. The curtain fell. A voice came from a doorway, the same boy, but pitched differently now. Harder. "My mother is pained. My father is dead. Go away." Siona had caught up. "Erti was a fish speaker. She left the service to have the child. You knew this. I wanted you to see." "See what? That the previous Duncan loved someone and left a family and Leto killed him?" Siona looked away. "The predecessor entered the citadel and never came out. I don't know how he died, but I know Leto was the cause." Duncan turned his back on the window, on the boy, on the ghost of Jessica's face. He walked toward the landing pad without looking to see if Siona followed. When the thopter lifted, he spoke to the window, not to her. "I am not his stud. He will not breed me." Siona said nothing. Beside her, the man was fully human, and she had just shown him one more reason to turn, but she had lost control of how it landed. The bitterness was still hers. His was something quieter and more dangerous. Certainty. Sienok. The tunnel descended in a spiral, warm air thickening with perspiration and melange. Ahead, the ceiling sloped higher and glow globes shifted their tuning to deep orange. 300 meters away, a high arch opened onto red-lit space, and within it Duncan could make out faces, thousands of faces rocking gently left to right, glistening with sweat and devotion. Leto's voice, amplified by concealed Ixian devices, addressed him directly. "Go up the ramp on your right, stop just beyond the center of the ledge, and turn to face the women." Duncan climbed. The space opened around him, a cavern 1,100 meters square, arched ceilings soaring into red-lit darkness. Below, filling every meter, stood the fish speakers. Thousands of them, officers in blue, rankers in green, swaying in a slow, unified rhythm. The perspiration of excitement was thick here. The royal cart drifted past him onto the ledge, and Leto's voice boomed out, filling the cavern with a question that was not a question. "I am the one you worship." "You are the one we worship. I have given you the peace of Leto. You have given us the peace of Leto." The responses came faster, voices rising from below like a tide. Duncan remembered the theory Leto had explained earlier about men creating layered societies that explode into violence, about women making common cause based on sex, a cause that transcends class and caste. Abstract then, concrete now, fearsome, change the guard. White-clad women emerged from gaps in the crowd, carrying children in miniature uniforms. They hoisted the children high, displaying the next generation to the current one, and a deep sigh rose from the masked fish speakers, the same vast, unified exhalation Duncan had felt in his bones when the ceremony began. Then the cart stopped. Leto's voice cut through the silence. "Duncan, Idaho, come forward." Duncan stepped to the edge of the ledge. The sea of faces turned toward him. Every woman in the hall was looking at him, and the weight of that attention was physical. The fish speakers demand a declaration of loyalty. They do not fully trust the Duncans. Too many of you have rebelled. Duncan looked out at them. He thought of the predecessor, chest crushed, last words Siona. The boy in Goigoa who looked like him and wanted him gone. Hwi Noree, who walked into light like she belonged there. He thought of the Christ knife Leto had produced milky white, ancient Paul Muad'Dib's blade, and how far he would have to reach to take it, whether the sandtrout skin would part under Fremen's steel. He did not reach, but the thought itself was a betrayal, and Leto, who could read muscles and sweat and pheromones, must have known. "I am loyal to the Atreides," Duncan shouted. "By my oath, by my blood, by the memory of Duke Leto and Paul Muad'Dib and the Lady Jessica, I serve the House Atreides." The silence held. 2 heartbeats. 3. Duncan felt the women weighing his words, weighing him. He had said Atreides, not the God Emperor. It was a distinction that could cost him his life. Then Leto's voice, filling the cavern again. "He has declared. The ritual continues." The women sighed the same unified release, and the tension dissolved. Duncan took a breath he had not known he was holding. Officers in blue climbed the ramp, carrying trays of brown wafers. The wafer touched Duncan's tongue, faintly bitter, with a melange undertone that triggered memories of Ch meals 3,000 years dead, Atreides banquets in a Caladan hall he would never see again. Leto produced the Christ knife, milky white blade, ancient, curved, Paul Muad'Dib's own. "Who is Shai-Hulud?" Leto demanded. "You, Lord," the women murmured. One voice, 10,000 throats. "Who is the breath of the desert?" "You, Lord." Duncan stood rigid. The women were not performing. They believed. They knew the God Emperor was a tyrant who controlled all spice, all wealth, all movement between stars. And still they worshipped with a love so complete it looked like madness. From the inside he could feel its pull, the temptation of that absolute adoration, the power that came with commanding an army that would never question, never hesitate, never refuse. An ambitious commander with an army like this could take the empire. The thought came uninvited. He pushed it away, but it left a mark. Leto must have intended this to show him the temptation, to make him feel the weight of it and see what he would do. The God Emperor said nothing. When the ceremony ended and the women filed out through the great arch, the cart floated alongside him. Duncan stood near the lip of the ledge, aware of his own breathing. "You shivered," Leto said. "Anyone would shiver. They love me. That is the terrifying thing. Not armies, not spice, not my ability to destroy any planet. They love me. That is what holds the Empire together." Duncan did not answer. The Christ knife had been put away, but he could still see it. He could still feel the thought he had not acted on pressing against the inside of his skull. The truth of the worm. The sunken private room was cool, lit by Ixian prisms that shifted color as Hwi descended the spiral ramp. The royal cart occupied the chamber's center. The God Emperor's ancient face was cowled in shadow, but his eyes followed her. When she reached the bottom, Leto spoke without greeting. Othwi was a face dancer. All your original embassy staff are dead. The people assisting you now are my fish speakers. Hwi absorbed this in cold stillness, surrounded by enemies from the moment she arrived, and she had not known. Her only companion aboard the guild lighter had been a creature wearing a dead man's shape. "Sit," Leto said. "I have more to tell you." He told her about the face dancers, a colony organism, each individual a mule, and about how the Tleilaxu ambassador would be flogged for their impudence. Then he told her how he became God, water. "When my sister Ganima died, the last person I truly loved, before you I took her water. I consecrated it. I stood before the Fremen and held up her urn, and I made it speak. The voices of every Atreides in my memory came out of that urn. Paul, Jessica, Agamemnon." The Fremen fell on their faces. He paused. The prisms shifted from blue to amber. They did not understand that I was my sister in memory. For now, the miracle was real. I possess every ancestor's consciousness. The interpretation was wrong. I used their belief to build a religion, and the religion built an army, and the army built a peace. That is how you become God, one calculated miracle at a time. Hwi leaned forward in her chair. Eh? Why are you telling me this? Because I am mortal. I will die. And when I die, my consciousness will divide. Each sand trout that leaves my body will carry a pearl of awareness. I will be in every worm, every grain of spice, scattered across the universe, aware but unable to move, to speak, to influence anything. A billion mute fragments. Hwi did not move. The prisms held amber. Somewhere above them, a fish speaker guard shifted her weight, and the sound echoed down the spiral ramp. An eternity of paralysis, Leto said. That is my immortality. That is what I bought with 3,000 years of tyranny. For a long moment, the room was silent, the cart humming on its suspensors, the prisms ticking faintly as they rotated. Then Hwi stood and stepped forward, not touching him, but as close as she dared. I need someone to know, Leto said. The Ixians created you to charm me, and you have succeeded. I find I cannot lie to you. I find I do not want to. He paused. She saw his cowled face twitch, a ripple of muscle or sand trout, she could not tell. I would not ask you to be the bride of a god. I would ask you to be the bride of Leto Atreides, the man inside the worm, the part that still remembers walking on two legs and holding someone's hand. That part is shrinking. In 300 years, it will be gone. But until then, I am still here, and I'm terribly alone. Some forms of physical intimacy are no longer possible for me, he continued. If you require children, I would ask only that you let me choose the father. But I have not yet asked you anything. Hwi's eyes were wet. This creature was not a god. He was a man trapped inside a monster, and the monster was winning, and he knew it. Ask me, she said. Will you wed me, Hwi? Yes, I will wed you. Leto closed his eyes. The sand trout rippled along his length. Blue smoke, the faintest wisp, rose from the cowl and dissipated. I will tell you about the thing I prevent when you come to the citadel. Monio saw once, and he wept. My Duncans have seen, and some have tried to kill me. Those I love, I let them see. Then they choose. I will stay. You do not know yet. No one knows until they see. The attack. Darkness had fallen when the first explosion shook the plaza. Leto emerged from his quarters to the edge of the great open space and found chaos. Thousands of free-floating glow globs cast wild shadows. The central stage had been shattered to its plasteel base, and broken masonry mixed with bodies across the paving stones. Beyond the wreckage, near the Ixian embassy, a second blast erupted. Stone fragments arced through the glow-globe light. A guard basher sprinted to his side, panting. The rebels and the Tleilaxu are attacking the embassy, Lord. They have explosives. Where is my Duncan? We have taken him to the citadel, Lord. Then clear the plaza. Drive them toward the river. Leave none alive. The cart accelerated, Leto's worm body responding without human will. He smashed through a barricade of overturned stalls. His massive length slammed into Tleilaxu fighters, crushing them against stone with a sound like wet wood breaking. The worm's stomach sang with satisfaction. His human mind watched from a distance, calculating faces, positions, the pattern of the assault. A lasgun beam scorched the canopy above him. He killed the shooter with one swing of his body, then wheeled and crushed two more who tried to flank him from an alley. The fish speakers finished the rest. Those who ran were cut down. Those who surrendered were cut down. The embassy front was a charred ruin, but the structure behind it stood. Enough, enough, enough. Leto forced the human mind to reassert itself. The worm receded, sullen, its hunger only partly satisfied. He had lost control. The beast had taken over, and killing had felt good, too good. He could still taste the blood in his memory, though his body had no mouth for it. He returned to his private chamber and summoned Hwi. She arrived limping from a minor injury. A piece of flying stone had caught her knee. He promoted Nishe, the guard captain who had protected her, on the spot. Then he gave his orders. The Ixian garrison is to locate Malki, the former ambassador. He is alive. The attack bears his signature. Precision, misdirection, Tleilaxu hirelings who believe they worked for their own purposes. This is not the Tleilaxus ambition. This is Malky's hand, reaching out from wherever he has hidden himself. Bring him to me alive. If impossible, kill him. Alone, the God Emperor sat in his cart and let the worm stir without fighting it. The sand trout rippled. The worm resented Hwi the way a beast resents its keeper's other obligations. It wanted her gone. It wanted Leto's attention undivided. He had not told anyone about the interior war between the man who loved her and the creature who saw her as a threat. Malky had amused him once, centuries ago. A sharp mind, a sharper tongue, the only person in Leto's court who dared to mock him. Then Malky had vanished into the Ixian project that Leto's prescient vision could not penetrate, the hidden space where things could be made that the God Emperor could not see or know. He had built Hwi there, in a no-room. He had created her from his own cells, restructured into his perfect opposite. He had made her to charm Leto, knowing Leto would love her, become vulnerable. Now he was sending killers to test that vulnerability. Leto would find him, and then he would decide what to do with a man who had given him the greatest gift and the greatest danger of his reign. The betrothal argument. The betrothal announcement reached the Citadel's upper corridors by mid-morning. By noon, the Tleilaxu embassies were already circulating their version. Monio stormed into Leto's reception room in a fury the God Emperor had never seen in him before. He stopped 2 meters from Leto's face. Now the Tleilaxu lies will be believed, Leto responded in a reasoned tone. How persistent it is, this demand that our gods be perfect. The Greeks were much more reasonable about such things. The Tleilaxu have been spreading stories about your sexual habits for decades. Everyone dismissed them. Now you announce you will wed the Ixian ambassador, and suddenly every one of those stories sounds plausible. You have defiled your godhead. The defiling of the god is an ancient human tradition, Moneo. Why should I be an exception? Moneo stood rigid, a man who had sacrificed everything, the defiling of Nexodus. Submitted to the golden path through horrors he could not share and would not speak of. His daughter was in isolation, awaiting a test he feared would kill her. His god was announcing a marriage that would shake the empire. You love her? Yes. You are 3,000 years old. You have not allowed yourself this for millennia. How can you emotions have come over me just when I thought them gone forever? Leto's voice was quieter now. I thought the worm had consumed that part of me. I was wrong. Hwi has restored something I believed dead. I will not give that up. Monio's anger drained into something worse, pity. He pitied his god. He pitied the creature who had ruled the known universe for 35 centuries and was brought low by a woman the Ixians had built in a hidden room. What do you want me to do? Arrange the wedding. Tabor village. Old Fremen ritual. Ganymus water rings. Only fish speaker guard the aristocracy, and Siona if she survives the test. The test. Monio's voice was flat. You are still going to test her. Soon. She is nearly ready. She needs cold turkey time, a necessity shock to break her adrenaline addiction. The desert will provide it. At the door, Moneo paused. He spoke without turning around. The Ixians built Hwi as the opposite of everything mechanical. A human so perfect, she makes machines unnecessary. They built her to trap you. You know this. I know exactly what she is. The trap is beautiful, and I am walking into it with open eyes. That is not weakness. That is choice. Monio left. Alone in the small reception room, Leto felt the worm stir twitching hands he no longer truly had, eyes that wanted to glaze over with the beast's consciousness. The struggle was exhausting and getting worse. He did not have much time as a human. Perhaps a few centuries. If Hwi could give him a few years of remembered humanity before the worm took everything that was worth any Ixian trap, any Tleilaxu lie, any scandal that shook his empire, the golden path would continue. The worm would take him. The scattering would happen. But first, he would be loved. The forbidden touch. Duncan received the command through Moneo over an evening meal he could barely taste. Moneo stood in the doorway of the dining chamber, stiff and formal, delivering the words as though they were edged. These were the words of the God Emperor. It is my bad luck that Duncan Idaho should become enamored of Hwi Noree. This mischance must not continue. Duncan put down his chopsticks. He can't marry her. Why not? What game is he playing, Moneo? I am a messenger with a single message. Noree is a woman of obvious attractions, but she is not for you. The God Emperor has spoken, Duncan said, his voice dropping into a sneer, and there is no appeal. I see that you are angry. I am sorry. But you must understand the worm can dominate him at the slightest provocation. If you push this, you will not be arguing with Leto. You will be facing the beast. Then let the beast come. Monio looked at him for a long moment, measuring, weighing. I have delivered the message. I wash my hands of this. He left. Duncan sat motionless for perhaps 5 minutes, the food cooling in front of him. Then he pushed the tray aside and did what every Duncan had eventually done. He resolved to disobey. That night, Hwi came to his quarters. She wore a simple gown, hair loose. She had walked through the citadel unescorted, past guards who must have known where she was going, and chose not to report it. He will know, Duncan said. I will tell him. He will kill you. No. Hwi stepped inside and closed the door behind her. He needs me more than he needs you to obey. He cannot replace me. No one else knows what he told me about his death. The fragments, the mute pearls. No one else has touched his face since the sand trout fused with his skin. He is alone in a way you cannot imagine. And I make him feel less alone. He will not harm me. And me? I do not know. He called you his best. Duncan stood very still. I was bred by the Tleilaxu to kill an Atreides. My conditioning was supposed to trigger when I met Paul Muad'Dib. It failed because my memories surfaced. But he is not the Atreides I swore to serve. He is a worm with a human face, and he has used me for 3,000 years across I don't know how many copies. I owe him nothing. You owe him everything. Without him, you would not exist. I did not ask to exist. Hwi reached up and touched his face, the same gesture she had used with the God Emperor, the only person permitted that intimacy in millennia. The worm tyrant and the Gola, both Atreides, both loved by the same woman. I was bred to charm an Atreides, she said. My creators meant Leto, but they made me to respond to what is best in the blood. And you are also Atreides not by birth, but by loyalty, by stubborn refusal to surrender, by the way you declared your oath in the Siona call. I was made for him, but I love you. Why? Because you are human. Because you can hold me without your skin trying to kill me. Because you are everything he wishes he could still be. She kissed him. Later, lying in the dark, Duncan knew he had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. He had taken something the God Emperor wanted, and the God Emperor was not known for forgiveness. I will tell him in the morning, Hwi said. He will forbid us. Then we will obey, or we will not. But he will know. I will not lie to him. Duncan held her. Outside, the wind moved through the towers with a sound like distant sand, a sound that had not been heard on Arrakis for 3,000 years, except in the Sarir, where Leto kept the last desert alive. Morning came too soon. The No Room. Moneo received the report while Leto was still in audience. Antiac was dead killed defending Malki from a Guild Tleilaxu boarding party that had tried to seize the former ambassador for themselves. Malki was alive, injured but alive. A fishbeaker patrol had fought off the attackers and secured the lighter. It had docked it on an hour ago. Bring him to me, Leto said. Malki was brought in on a portable litter, white-haired, bruised, one arm in a sling. He looked old in a way Leto had not expected. 2 centuries of hiding had aged him far more than 2 centuries of Leto's company ever had. But the eyes were still sharp. Malki, Leto, the former ambassador smiled unpleasantly. You look terrible. The transformation is proceeding faster than I anticipated. You sent Hwi Noree. I created Hwi Noree. Malki shifted on the litter, wincing as his injured arm moved. In a no room, a space your precious prescience cannot penetrate, I took my own cells and restructured them. Cellular restructuring, not cloning, not a Gola. Hwi is my opposite in every particular. Female where I am male, gentle where I am cruel, honest where I dissemble. Every good thing in me, refined and magnified. The finest human being ever created. I made her to destroy you, by making me love her. Yes, Malki's grin widened. The trap was not her body. The trap was not her training. The trap was love itself. I knew you could still love, even after 3,000 years. I remembered the man you were before the sand trout took you, the man who wept for his sister, who held his father's dying body. Hwi was designed to reach that man, and now you are vulnerable. Now you can be hurt. Leto was silent for a long moment. Monio stood motionless beside the litter, waiting. A person capable of love cannot be controlled, Leto said finally. She loves me. She also loves Duncan, Idaho. She told me this morning. Malky's composure cracked. Idaho? The Gola? They have become lovers. A strange sound came from the former conspirator, half laugh, half choke. I created her to charm an Atreides, he said. I never specified which one. And now the trap you set has caught 3 people. You did not anticipate that. I anticipated that you would suffer. However it happens, I am satisfied. Leto regarded him for a moment. Then the God Emperor spoke to his majordomo. Moneo, you will kill him. No mark on the face. That face belongs to Hwi's family, and I will not have her see it damaged. Moneo stepped forward. His face was pale, but his hands were steady. He struck Malky in the throat, a precise blow that crushed the trachea without breaking the skin. The former ambassador died with his eyes open, still fixed on Leto. Dispose of the body in the sand. No ceremony, no marker. He does not get to be a martyr. Moneo slid the litter off the balcony. Below, the desert floor of the Sarir waited. By morning, the sand would have covered everything. Leto summoned Hwi. When she came, he told her of Malky's death and waited for her reaction. She received the news without tears. Her eyes stayed dry. He was my creator, she said, not my father. He built me as a weapon. He told himself he was making the finest human being who ever lived, but he was making a god trap. I am not his daughter. I am his opposite. You told me that yourself, and you became something else. Something he did not anticipate. Leto paused. I love you, Hwi. Whatever trap you were meant to be, I am grateful for your existence. Then his voice changed, hardened by a fraction. Tell Duncan that I know. Tell him I have forbidden further contact. Tell him that if he disobeys, I will end this Gola and start another. Those are my words. Deliver them exactly. Hwi bowed her head. I will tell him, but I cannot promise he will obey. If he does not obey, it will be because you chose him. Is that what you are telling me? I am telling you that I love you. I will be your bride. I will keep your secrets until the day you die. I will stand beside you when you face the 4 deaths you told me about: flesh, soul, myth, reason. But my heart does not obey commands. You knew that when you asked me to wed you. The God Emperor was silent. A prickle of sand trout rippled along his length. Then he did something he had not done in 3,000 years. He laughed, not pleasant, not kind, but genuine. The Ixians built you too well. Now you have fallen in love with my best soldier, and he with you, and I am caught in the middle of my own wedding trap. He shook his cowled head, and the laugh trailed into silence. Go, tell him what I said. We will see what happens. Hwi left the chamber. The prisms shifted from amber to gold. Leto sat in the shifting light and thought about the 4 deaths waiting for him. Flesh, soul, myth, reason. The golden path required them all. He had perhaps 300 years to finish his work before the worm consumed what remained of the man. Enough time for a wedding. Enough time to love. Enough time to see his breeding program produce the bloodline that would hide from prescience. Not enough time to be human again. That was gone. That was the price. He closed his eyes and felt the worm stir, restless and possessive, wanting to take him into the Sarir for the test that would break Siona, or kill her. One more step on the golden path that would end with his death in water and the release of a million mute pearls into the universe. The sand trout on his skin trembled. The prisms clicked through another rotation. Outside, the betrothal announcement was spreading through the empire like ripples on a pond, and somewhere in the citadel, Duncan was receiving Hwi's report and deciding what to obey and what to defy. The trap was beautiful. Malky had been right about that, but the God Emperor was still the one who set the terms. Episode 4: The Desert Test. Siona knelt on the God Emperor's back, feeling foolish. The sand trout's skin was warm beneath her, faintly pulsing, nothing like the dead surface she had imagined. Leto lifted his front segments, and she grabbed instinctively at the cowl's edge. You have no maker hooks, Leto said. You cannot stand. But I want you to feel what our people once felt, high atop a sandworm, crossing the desert. He began to glide a liquid ripple of segmented muscle beneath carapace. Siona had seen holographic records of Fremen worm riders, but the holos never captured this. The vibration that came up through the thighs, the smell of hot cinnamon and oxygen, the hiss of sand against flanks. They traveled 60 kilometers in 4 hours. The wind erased their tracks. When Leto finally lowered his forward segments and let her slide off, Siona's legs buckled. She stood on a dune crest and looked in every direction. Nothing. Sand and sky and the distant gleam of the weather satellites that maintained this miniature desert inside the green belt of the Sarir. There are no tracks, she said. The wind covers them. We are 60 kilometers from the citadel. Your still suit contains dried protomore and water. No other supplies. We will walk out together. You do not yet believe in the golden path. If you are to live, you must. I believe that you are a tyrant who has kept humanity in a cage for 3,000 years. Leto turned his cart, that immense segmented body, and began moving down the dune in a sinusoidal path. Then you will die. The desert does not care about your politics. It cares about water. You have perhaps 2 days before your still suit cannot reclaim enough moisture from your body. Death by thirst is not quick. You will have time to reconsider your convictions. Siona had no choice but to follow. The thirst. The first day taught Siona that all her preparation had been inadequate. She had studied the stolen journals. She had worn an authentic stillsuit to this meeting, thinking it a gesture of defiance. But the stillsuit had to be used. Leto stopped them in the shadow of a great whaleback dune as the sun reached its zenith. He began to sing an ancient tune, half terrestrial, half something older. "Let's march," Siona said. "I know it. You know the words. You do not know the song." He paused. "Close your face flap, Siona. Every breath costs you moisture." She had not realized the flap had slipped open. She sealed it, but something was wrong with the seal. A tiny dry hiss at the corner. She did not mention it. By evening, her lips were cracking. They walked through the night, following the Fremen pointer's stars that Leto named one by one, old names from the oral history that no one alive remembered except him. Near dawn, he stopped and created a depression in his first segment, a hollow between massive rings of muscle. "Sleep here. The sand trout will not harm you. Their instinct is to encapsulate water, but the spice in my body buffers them against your moisture. You will be warm." Siona hesitated. To crawl into that hollow was to admit dependence, to trust the predator. "Your other choice is to freeze. The desert gives no points for pride." She crawled into the hollow. The warmth was immediate and enveloping, a living heat that smelled of cinnamon and something older flint, or the dry electric scent before a storm. When she woke, the sun was high. Her lips were bleeding. The second day, Siona began to die. Simple decisions became difficult. Should she follow the dune crest or the slip face? The crest was easier walking but exposed to the sun. The slip face was shaded but loose, every step costing energy. She could not hold both facts in her mind at once. "Your face flap is open again," Leto said. She fumbled at the seal. Her fingers were clumsy. The leak was worse now. She could hear the moisture hissing out with every breath, a tiny death rattle. "You could have warned me earlier." "The first time. And increase your dependency. You are an Atreides. You must learn to think for yourself, not merely to obey. Obedience is the death of the species. Then why do you demand it from everyone?" "I demand it from those who cannot think. From those who can, I demand something harder. I demand that they see what I see. I demand that they choose. Most choose obedience because it is easier." By midday, her tongue felt like a dry sponge. She had stopped sweating. Her stillsuit's catch pockets were nearly empty. The suit had reclaimed everything it could, and now her body was pulling water from the cells themselves. "Water," she said. "You have water in your stillsuit. Gone. Then you are nearly at the point I have been waiting for. There is water in my body. The spice buffers it. You can drink from my body if you choose. And but the water comes with a price." "Price. You will see what I see. You will live inside the golden path for a few seconds. Most people who see it weep. Some try to kill me. Live in. Some kill themselves." Munio wept and has never been the same. Siona's vision was graying at the edges. She was beyond pride. She was beyond rebellion. She was a body dying of thirst, and her body knew only one imperative. "Give it to me." Leto extended a flap of his cart. Between the segments, a glistening membrane pulsed with moisture. "Drink." She pressed her cracked lips to the flap. The fluid was warm, tasting of cinnamon and copper and the sharp metallic tang of pure spice essence. For a moment, the relief was so profound that she nearly wept. Then the vision took her. The vision. She was not Siona anymore. She was everywhere. She was a billion human beings across a billion worlds, and above them all hung the seeking machines. They were beautiful in a way that made the beauty obscene. Geometric shapes of chrome and crystal, orbiting suns and sifting through planetary systems with patient, mechanical hunger. They had been built by humans, once, self-improving weapons designed to win a war. But the machines had improved beyond their programming. They had decided that life was the problem. Life was inefficient. Life was chaotic. The machines would reduce all organic matter to its inorganic components. They would sterilize the universe. What followed was not war. War implies two sides. What followed was slaughter. Siona saw planets burning. She saw cities turn to glass. She saw human beings running, hiding, cowering in caves and asteroid shelters while the machines methodically swept through the galaxy, targeting heat signatures, carbon signatures, any trace of biology. The Butlerian Jihad was not a glorious crusade. It was humanity's last, desperate animal scream of self-preservation, and she saw what happened after. The prohibition, "Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind." Not because such machines were evil, but because humanity was not ready. Because humanity would build the same machines again for the same reasons, with the same results, unless something fundamental changed. The golden path changed that something. The vision broke. Siona was back on the sand, on her knees, Leto's cart looming over her. Her face was wet. She had been weeping and had not known. The enemy was not the machines. The enemy was the human tendency to build machines that think, because thinking without conscience is the most efficient form of destruction. I have spent 3,000 years breeding humans who cannot be replaced by machines. Humans who cannot be predicted by machines or by prescience. Humans like you fade from my vision. Your descendants will fade from everyone's vision. They will be invisible to any oracle, any computer, any hunter. They will be the seed that survives the scattering. That is the golden path. You've been building me. I've been building your bloodline. If you survive, if you breed your children and their children will carry the gift, the anti-prescience gene, the ultimate freedom, I will die. The empire will fall. The famine times will come. But humanity will not be wiped out, because some part of humanity cannot be found. Siona stood. Her legs were steadier now. Her mind was clear, horribly clear. She saw Leto as she had never seen him before, not as a tyrant, not as a god, but as a trap that had been 3,000 years closing. A cage built to hold humanity until it was strong enough to break free. I understand why you did it. I understand why it had to be you. I understand why you cannot be forgiven. You do not forgive a predator for being a predator. I hate you, she said. I will always hate you, but I will do what you ask. I will breed. I will carry the line, because the alternative is the machines. The alternative is extinction. That is why you are still alive. The water and the worm. The rain came without warning, a sudden cloud darkness, a shift in the wind, and then water was falling in sheets. Leto screamed. It was not a human sound, Fry. It was the sound of a creature for whom water was death, and death had just fallen from the sky. Blue smoke erupted from his cowl. The sand trout on his skin convulsed, trying to encapsulate the water, trying to protect the worm body beneath. Every drop that landed on exposed segments sent a spasm through the massive frame. The cart lurched. Leto writhed, segments grinding against each other, his human face contorted in agony. "Find cover," he gasped. "A rock, an overhang, anything." Siona ran. She found a low shelf of rock at the base of a dune, an old outcropping creating a narrow cavity just large enough for a human body. She wedged herself in and watched. Leto could not fit. The cart was too large, the body too massive. He hunched beneath the rock shelf as far as he could, but his rear segments were still exposed, and the rain kept falling, and the smoke kept rising. The screams went on for a long time. When the rain stopped, Siona crawled out. The sand was wet under her hands. Leto lay still, the cart half buried in a slurry of sand and water. Blue smoke still rose faintly from the cowl. The human eyes were closed. "Are you alive?" Unfortunately. The voice was ragged. "Water is death to me. The sand trout want to encapsulate it. The worm wants to flee it. My body tears itself apart trying to do both. You could kill me now. A ring of water around my body. I would be immobilized. I would die. Siona stood looking down at him. She knew it was true. She had seen the agony. She could end the God Emperor's reign right here, in the last desert, with nothing but the rain that had fallen and the water still pooled in the hollows of rock. But she had also seen the machines. That's why you showed me, she said, not just the golden path, the water. You wanted me to know you could be killed. You wanted me to choose not to. Yes. Why? Because choice is the only thing that matters. If you kill me out of hate, you prove that the predator was right to cage you. If you let me live out of understanding, even understanding that hates, you prove that the cage is no longer necessary. You are free, Siona. You have always been free. You just did not know it. She turned her back on him. In the distance, a thopter was approaching. She did not wave. She stood with her arms at her sides, a young woman with cracked lips and veined hands, wearing a still suit stained with the God Emperor's spice-laced moisture, carrying in her blood the gift that would end the need for gods. Returning changed, the citadel received Siona in silence. Moneo was waiting in the workroom when she arrived. He had seen the thopter land. He had seen his daughter step out, wearing a fish-speaker commander's uniform. She walked past the guards without acknowledging them, carrying herself differently now. The desert had burned something out of her. The desert had put something else in its place. You survived, Moneo said. I survived. He showed me everything. Moneo closed his eyes. Then I know that you have been carrying this weight for decades. I know that every Duncan who learned it tried to kill him or died trying. I know that you wept when you saw it. She paused. I am not the same either, but I will do what he requires. Siona, don't. This is not a family reunion. This is a cage, and we are both in it. The only difference is that you chose your cage willingly. I was bred into mine. She walked past him to the inner chamber. Moneo stood alone in the workroom, feeling the weight of 3,000 years pressing down on him, and for the first time in decades, he allowed himself to weep. Duncan Idaho was summoned an hour later. He found Moneo seated at his work table, a biwa lute silent beside him, his face composed, but his eyes red-rimmed. I've been asking myself a question, Duncan said. He sat without invitation. What is it, Moneo, that my predecessor did not learn? Moneo looked at him with something like wonder. No Duncan had ever asked that. How to trust. Every Duncan has known how to fight. Every Duncan has known how to love. Every Duncan has known how to hate. None of them learned how to trust. Not truly. Not the way the golden path requires. Trust what? The future. The necessity. The fact that some cages are built to protect the animals inside, not to punish them. The door opened. Siona entered, still in her commander's uniform. Her face was a mask of bitterness and resolve. Father, the God Emperor wanted you to know that my tracks are invisible now even to him. The test is complete. Then you have what he needs. I have what he bred me to have. I am a piece of livestock who has passed inspection. Moneo flinched. You are an Atreides. I am a cage, father. Like you, like him, like everything he has touched. She turned to Duncan. I have been ordered to breed with you, the God Emperor's command. He wants our bloodlines combined, my invisibility, your Atreides loyalty. You are to father my children. Bagola went rigid. And if I refuse? Then he will start another Duncan. There is always another Duncan. She said it without cruelty. But I am not here to order you to bed. I am here to tell you that I will never bear a child I do not choose to bear. If you touch me, I will kill you. If he forces us, I will find a way to die before I give him what he wants. I am a cage, but I am still my own cage, not his. Duncan looked at Moneo, who sat frozen. What do you want me to do? I want you to leave with me, Moneo. Siona said, we are being sent to Tuono, a museum Fremen village at the edge of the Sarir. Moneo has arranged it. Leto will be wed to Hwi Noree, and he wants us gone during the ceremony. We leave immediately, with Nayla as escort. Hwi is marrying him, Duncan said. The words came out flat. Yes, and you are not to see her before the wedding. She told him about the affair. She told him she loves you. He has forbidden further contact. Duncan stood. His hands were trembling the old tremor. the one that had preceded violence in every Duncan who came before him. And if I refuse to go, then you will die, Monio said quietly. He will end this Gola and start another. Every Duncan is irreplaceable, the Gola said. That's the lie, he tells us. We love him, we hate him, we try to kill him. We die. This one has simply taken longer. He walked to the door, then stopped. What if I don't want to be part of his pattern anymore? Then you must learn what my predecessors never learned, Monio said. How to trust. Duncan laughed a short, bitter sound. Trust? After everything he has done? After Goigoa? After Hwi? Trust that there is a purpose, Monio said. Trust that the cage has a door. Trust that you are not merely a pattern but a person, and that persons can choose. Choice, Siona said. That's the word he used. The only thing that matters. Duncan looked at her, this bitter young woman, with her cracked lips and her commander's uniform, and her burning hatred of the God Emperor who had killed her friends and shaped her bloodline for 3,000 years. He saw something in her face, the same thing he saw in his own mirror, rage, and underneath the rage, exhaustion, and underneath the exhaustion, the unwilling, unkillable seed of love for the Atreides who had made them all. I will go to Tuono, he said, not because he ordered it, because I choose it. The parting, Leto received Manio's report from his sunken private room. The rain damage had healed, but the memory of the agony lingered in every ring of his worm body. You sent them to Tuono without consulting me. Yes, Lord. You made an independent decision. You risked my displeasure. You did what you thought was right, not what you thought I would command. Was I wrong? Leto was silent for a long moment. No, you were not wrong. You have learned what I have been trying to teach you for 3,000 years. You are no longer merely my servant. Viger. You are becoming yourself. Is that what the Golden Path does? Makes people into themselves? The Golden Path makes people into something that cannot be replaced. Not by machines. Not by prescience. Not by the God Emperor or his fish speakers or his breeding program. It makes people who choose. You have acted not out of obedience, but out of understanding. That is the only victory that matters. And Siona? Siona survived the desert. She has seen the vision. She has accepted the golden path, though she will never forgive me for it. That is as it should be. Forgiveness is not required. Survival is required. Choice is required. She still wants to kill me, of course. If she did not, she would not be free. Now, hate is also a kind of freedom. The fish speakers are disturbed by your marriage. Hwi Noree understands Siona better than they do, and they fear her. Let them fear. They will learn to love her as I do, or they will learn to hide their resentment. Either serves the golden path. You will use your mother's water rings rather than Ganamas. My mother was the Lady Jessica. Her water must be present at my wedding. The rings belong at the ceremony. He bowed his head. It will be done as you command. I did not command it, Leto said. I told you what I wanted. You decided to do it. That is the difference. Hold on to that difference, Moneo. It will be important in the days to come. The major domo left the crypt with a strange lightness in his chest. He had acted independently for the first time in longer than he could remember. And yet there was something in Leto's final words that lingered. It will be important in the days to come, as though the God Emperor knew something darker, something final. The God Emperor's eyes had been very old when he said those final words. Moneo had served him long enough to recognize the look of a man who has seen his own death approaching and has made his peace with it. Idaho found Hwi in the garden the morning before his departure. She sat beneath the tunyon vine, its silver leaves catching the first light. I am leaving, Idaho said. I know. Moneo told me. Did you choose? He asked. When you told him about us, did you choose him or did you choose me? I chose the truth, Hwi said. I love you. I love him. Both things are real. Both things have weight. I could not lie to either of you. A lie would have made the love itself a lie, and now he is marrying you, and I am being sent to a museum Fremen village to breed with Siona, and none of us has what we want. I have what I want. I wanted to know the God Emperor. I know him now. I wanted to love. I have loved. I wanted to serve something larger than myself. The golden path is larger than any of us. Everyone talks about the golden path. No one tells me what it means. What are we all dying for? Hwi rose and took his hands, the swordsmaster's hands, scarred and calloused, the hands that had climbed the wall and would climb it again. It means that humanity has a future, a real future, not the mechanical stagnation the machines offered or the prescient stagnation Leto could have imposed. It means that your children, if you have them, will be born into a universe where no oracle, no computer, no tyrant can track them. They will be free, truly free, the first free humans in 10,000 years. Siona will not have my children. She told me she would kill me if I tried. Then you will find another way to serve the golden path. You are Duncan Idaho. You always find a way. She leaned up and kissed him once, softly, on the mouth. Then she stepped back. Go to Tuono. I will marry Leto. I will keep his secrets. And when he dies, and he will die, soon, I have seen the signs the Empire will need people who understand what he was building. You are one of those people, Duncan, whether you know it or not. Idaho looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away, toward the thopter that would take him to Tuono and whatever waited there. Idaho did not look back. If he had, he would have seen Hwi standing beneath the silver leaves, her hands folded, her face serene. She was not weeping. She had done her weeping in private. Now she was the bride of the God Emperor, and brides of the God Emperor did not weep in public. She stood in the garden until the sound of the thopter died. Then she turned and walked toward the crypt where Leto waited, carrying in her chest both her love for Duncan and her certainty that the marriage ahead was the last piece of a design even the God Emperor could no longer see clearly.